Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Remember, only one more trading day this week. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, John. Thank you for putting in all the earnings. Sterling. Yeah, ASML was a beat, but their guidance was not good and their orders were not good. So, market's getting hit on this. Also, TSMC announcing a 30% fab price bump in this country. And what else? NVDA facing new export restrictions on its H20s. So they're going to take a charge off on that. So that's why that's down. So semis definitely under pressure this morning. We have potential double tops in NVIDIA and Broadcom. Good morning, by the way, Sterling. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Options 22. What else do we have? What are we up to? 245% tariffs on some stuff from China. What's even the point? Why don't you say 1,000,000% tariffs at this point? We got 1,000,000% tariffs because it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to bring in anything at 245% tariffs or even 100%. So we'll see. We'll see. But all it's going to take is one thing with tariffs to break positive, and you'll see this market scream. Good morning, Rangers. It just matters how much pain it's going to go through to get there. So good morning, Harold. I hope everyone's doing well. We had retail sales out this morning. Retail sales hanging in there. Month over month, 1.4. Control group coming in at 0.4. A little less than consensus, but still hanging in there. Retail sales year over year coming in 4.6. X autos coming in at 0.8. So still that's hanging in there. Consumer is completely not tapped out, but they're putting a lot on credit. Industrial production coming out in just a few minutes, about 9 minutes. So we'll have to see how that comes out. And then we got some business inventories at 10 a.m. Eastern. What else? Crude numbers at 10:30 Eastern. We got Hammock speaking, Fed Hammock speaking at noon. We got Powell speaking at 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. And then you got Schmidt speaking tonight. Tomorrow being the last trading day of the week, we have jobless claims and Philly Fed and some more Fed speak. But big thing today is Powell. Good morning, PMG. So that's where we sit. The S&P 500, you see pressure under all the semis. NVIDIA pulling back. Actually, everything's starting to pull back now. Mega caps pulling back, so we could definitely see some continued selling pressure. We got a little bounce overnight off a mini double bottom pattern with China saying they would consider, talks. But let's just see. And then this morning saying, they're, you got to treat them with respect and everything else, and they're not going to back down. So we will see all this says. Good morning, Anissa. So, what else? I'm just looking at we shall see. But overall, in terms of your groups, technology down to 2.6%. The only thing up today is energy and basic materials and consumer defensive. Gold's up big, hit the next harmonic. We actually officially got that pausing bar confirmed. So gold so that harmonics I had up earlier were the ones to use, and gold hit the next harmonic. Just keeps going higher. Getting very overextended, but that doesn't mean it has to stop just yet. 4 Fed cuts priced in, back to 4 priced in. So we'll have to especially see what Powell comments today. We're still in extreme fear mode. Schiller PE. Let me just refresh this. I don't think I did that. 33.38 still. All right. Sterling put in all the earnings today after the close. We got Alcoa. CSX will be the two ones I'm looking at. Alcoa, CSX, and the TSMC is tomorrow. And we got United Health Group, American Express, and Netflix after the close tomorrow. So, good morning, Richard. AMD expects expert controls may result in charges up to $800 million. Could you put in the NVIDIA charges? So, rotation zone still holding. We've not invalidated anything to do with the double. We've not daily cycles are rolling over. what I'm paying close attention to really quick, we have these little mini potential double tops in the NASDAQ, which would need at least a 4-hour close below 103.02, and in Broadcom, a 4-hour close below 166.36. If those triggered, then I'll be watching for more pressure on pullbacks, more pressure to the downside. So far, still caught in, this has just turned into a horizontal trading range after its big ramp up. Still the key levels. Key levels I'm watching is 52.70. Now from anything bullish, here was your little, by the way, here was the little mini double overnight. Now we're pulling back. So little key support, couple key support areas I'm going to be watching into the open. This 53.63 area and then 53.44. If we do break below that ledge, the next major area for me on a bigger pullback today is 52.70, 52.75 area. Remember, the technical invalidation point is all the way back at 50.93. But if I start seeing doubles trigger and we start breaking below 52.75 area and then follow through below 52.30, it could get interesting. But it would technically not invalidate the pattern. So it depends what time frame you're trading it in. Which spike came out of nowhere this morning? Which spike you're referring to? To the upside, I'm treating 54.16 area as key resistance unless it can be turned into support, which means that's where we spiked from the China news, and then we've pulled off from there. So it's got to get back above this area. The stronger area is about 54.16. It's got to form a base above there or take it out with momentum before I'll get into watching for more bullish plays in 54.76. Again, everything's just tariff related, tariff news. Besides Powell speaking, everything's just headlines on the tariff news. So, NASDAQ, also that's going to get hit harder with the pullbacks in semis. So I'm going to be watching that closely into the open. The key areas on the NASDAQ to the downside, I'm watching this 18,275 area, about 18,260 area. And then major is 17,900. 17,900. Invalidation of the pattern is 17,568. So we're nowhere near invalidating it so far. And also the rotation zone's clearly holding. Rotation zone's clearly holding after hitting the first target only. So nothing though has been invalidated to the upside. We're just getting pressure. Again, if we start getting below this key level, this 18,275, 18,300 area, then I'll start watching for this 50% retracement. Bullish for me, I'm going to be treating 18,860 as very key resistance unless we can turn that into support. And then the next target up would be 19,260, 19,200 area. That was based off the China news. So the Dow, again, Dow holding up a lot better based off this prior price action. I'm watching for the Dow to start basing for any bullish above 14,600. And if we start breaking below 40,600, if we start breaking below 40,200, going to be watching for more of a pullback there. Russell, remember, it did not have a double pattern, and it's only got to the bottom of the rotation zone, but really not much price action just there. So I'm paying attention to on any breakdown plays below about 1856. Oh, that's key support until it's proven to not be, but that would be if it's broken the breakdown play. The breakout play, the upside is about 1918. Again, the VIX, a little pop here, a little pop here, but nothing else. We closed below the 62.5 the other day. So on any move back up, unless we get a major spike, so we'll be watching for rollovers. There's nothing that changes the downward trajectory and the probabilities just yet. It's just how we get there. Now, that being said, if negative news comes out and the VIX were to spike above 48 again, watch out. The DAX, not much has changed. Inside bar from yesterday, so I'm paying attention to yesterday's high and low. The notes coming back up into just a key consolidation. So we ran up, we ran down a bit, and now we're back into consolidation. So for me, there's no fantastic pattern just yet. Same with the 10-year, although with the micro yields, I'm watching for a potential in the next little bit for a rotation, possibly back up, unless this double top triggers, which I'm really doubting. Dollar index, again, the 4-hour double was invalidated. It's turned into a 4-hour horizontal channel pattern. Keep an eye, if we do get a dollar pop, it's got to get above the rotation zone, which is held. Other than that, if this rotates back down, we will have the 4-hour horizontal have turned into a bottom pattern, a potential double bottom on the daily. By the way, if the dollar breaks lower, we have official, very clear pausing area. So that's our longer term, and our shorter term harmonics would come from here. So let's see where that would give us. So we clearly, let me move this over so you can see it. See how that red line is below there? So in that green line now, we clearly have a key cluster. If the dollar were to break lower, 97.30 is around the key support area. Where does that come in on the weekly? We got to look at this. There's the key support area. And there's a prior major breakout area. So that would be the key target I would be utilizing if we have more dollar weakness, but the dollar still holding in here against very key support. Crude, nothing yet. Just consolidating against the rotation zone. Trying to actually build a base against the rotation zone. Remember, on any pop, I'm watching closer to the next key resistance around 65. Gold. Here you go. This turned into official pausing bar because April didn't. This didn't touch it, and then yesterday we had an inside bar, and now we're in launch mode again. So we had 33.36. That's the next harmonic, and we tapped off. That's the next major harmonic. We tapped off that. Now in the longer term harmonics, if we go through that one, 33.74 roughly. So this minor harmonic based off the lows, pull back to the pausing bar. The next major one is all the way from these lows against the 200 of October 23 to the pausing bar. We can only use this daily. We don't have a suitable weekly pausing bar, so we have to use the extended daily pausing bar pullback. But that's the next one. Above there, you're not till 55.46. So on short-term plays, would definitely be raising another stop right now. I'll have to look into that more, Charles. What else do we have? Euro, still basing sideways, looking for the rotation zone to catch up. Right now, again, we paused at the next major harmonic and basing at the minor harmonic besides these spike ups. However, we do have a clear pausing bar now. So if we break out higher, that is your key major harmonic. This is your key minor harmonic. So next cluster area is not as nice as the dollar index, but we got a key cluster area about 115.65 to 160, or 116. The key one I'd be really focused on is 116.53. Bitcoin hit the second little double target there is just moving sideways, so that's again a little profit taking in at least a stop raise. The final target is at the 200 and at the higher end of consolidation if it does snap higher. That's the only pattern there. Spiders, again, we're going to gap down today, so I'm going to gap down. Let's just take a look here. Very key support coming in right around 530. We're trading 561, 531.60, 531.60 going in the open. So 530 is some very key support just above there. Below that level, we'd be looking right around the major supports coming in around 520. On any upwards trajectory, you have about 536. You have sort of a void in here. So your key, you have about 534, then you have 536, and then to the gap fill yesterday to the upside. Again, we've only hit the first target on the double, and the rotation zone's clearly holding there also. Holding on the NASDAQ also at the gap down, big gap down in the NASDAQ, the Qs today. 445 is very key support. Again, the invalidation point is all the way back at 426.96 on the double. So, what else? Let's peek at Tesla. Not anything going on there. So the key things I'm watching are this NVDA and Broadcom. NVIDIA and Broadcom because of the little double tops. Especially keeping an eye on NVIDIA. And it does need a 4-hour close below this key low of 103.02. Just use 103. With that, that's about all I have. Just seeing, again, it's a shortened trading week. We're still just in a massive horizontal channel right now. Even if we come back down, I'll be really focused on this 52.70 area for support because there's been a lot of buying pressure down there. Well, setups aren't always there. If you have a setup that's 100%, which I guarantee you don't, that's why your setups will fail sometimes. Again, there's no 100% trading method. It just won't exist. It will never exist. Especially because news can come out of nowhere. News can drive patterns that have already triggered. News can hit stops on patterns that have triggered. So that's where we stand. I don't have much else to talk about because there's not much going on. Yeah, we're pulling back. Rotation zone's holding. But again, it's a tariff-driven news cycle. So we'll have to see, besides the stuff from chips. Now, chips could be a new trend that is starting to weaken, and then we'll have to watch this on a bigger pattern. By the way, the NVIDIA double just takes it back to the key reversal low area. It does not break the most recent lows. It actually takes it back to a very key support area. But on the bigger picture, if NVIDIA starts taking out this key reversal bar, remember it's run up to the weekly rotation zone. So that's also what I'm paying attention to. But if we take out these lows from last week, we could easily see a much bigger pullback in NVIDIA. You're welcome, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful trading day. Again, don't do silly with a shortened trading week. And the only stuff I can tell you is keep paying attention to the headlines. Yeah, that'll be minor though. They'll try to spin it as a major win, but the big thing's all gonna revolve around China. You're gonna get little things that we got a trade deal with Japan. It's gonna be, and we'll have to see what happens with auto tariffs. That's gonna be the biggie if we do anything, if something comes out of Japan. By the way, I'm getting more and more emails. I try to support a lot of small businesses. I'm getting more and more of these because a lot of these companies have to manufacture in China, and they literally, if they had to switch their manufacturing, go out of business. And right now, they can't bring any product in from China. So they're starting to hurt. And there's nothing they can do about it because you can't change supply chains that quickly. So, and you know what? All this could go away. Who knows what's going to happen? That's the problem. It's all a big uncertainty. So we're going to see a ripple effect from, unless this gets resolved soon, we're going to start seeing a ripple effect of small businesses. That's another thing I'm worried about in terms of unemployment and hurting people in this country. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful, wonderful trading day. Bye for now.